So one of the things that's occurred to me this week on this channel that I want to produce is that I do sometimes want to speak off the cuff. I mean, I said it in the first video that I actually hate reading from scripts, but one of the reasons that I tend to script myself is because I know that I have a tendency to go off on a tangent and things end up very long, and sometimes I want to get to the point because I want people to receive the message and not tune out before I get to the punchline. But anyway, I was listening to one of my favourite podcasts this week, The Nine Club. It's a skateboarding related podcast, comes out usually every week, and they always have like a skater or a filmer or a photographer or somebody who's connected with the skate industry, and I just love listening to it. It's awesome hearing from new skaters, filmers, legends, all this kind of stuff. And they had Ron Allen on this week, and my god, this guy was just awesome. Fell down. Something just fell down and I don't know what it was. It doesn't matter. Anyway, they had Ron Allen on, and basically he is just a legend. He has been skating professionally since the mid-80s, from what I understood, and he's now 61 years old. And this guy had just such the most passionate, true, genuine energy, just literally bursting out from every seam of his being. It was just the best thing ever. And he had some things to say about a way that skateboarding has gone in the modern age, insofar as that now it's like taken quite seriously. There was many aspects of it. It's very hard for me to distill it down, but his interview was so engaging, so impressive, that I've actually already listened to it twice, and this is like a 3-hour 20-minute interview. It was that good. But what he said is something that really sort of resonated with me, was that when he used to teach skate camps to like kids and stuff like that, he would have like the noobs there, the beginners, the people who are just like the kids that are like, they have to learn how to push. Whereas now it seems like the kids that go to skate camp, they're already good. And so you sort of think to yourself, well, where are the kids that are like, literally falling off the back of the skateboard because they've never stepped on one before? And I feel that this kind of magnifies up into kind of how things are in the way that we see things on the internet. So there's two aspects to this. One is the sense that everybody's already good at something, and therefore we struggle to find ourselves in that. And the second aspect is that we put such pressure on ourselves to, either deliver complete goods when we show ourselves on the internet, or we worried that when we show ourselves on the internet, whatever it is that we do, that if it's actually not all that good, or it's half finished, then people won't be interested in that, or that we won't be seen as, the genuine article sometimes. And that also sort of feeds hand in hand with I'm very careful about talking about things in this way because I don't want to come across like I'm going like the kids these days don't know they're born, because I honestly hate that kind of attitude in life. I think it's just such a regressive, negative place to come from. But it's definitely true that we live in an age where we are, if we allow ourselves to be, and it seems like the majority do allow themselves to be overwhelmed by the sheer amount of media and content, is what we call it these days, that is out there. And it's hard to see the wood from the trees with a lot of stuff. I'm a creative person, and if I was to concentrate on all the stuff that comes out on Instagram and all these kinds of things, I would start to feel personally, and I don't know if everybody does, but I would feel overwhelmed. I would feel like, where am I in all of this? I mean, I love all this stuff, but where am I in all of this? How does me loving this translate into the work that I want to create? Do I basically create carbon copies of work I love because, well, sometimes there is no harm in that. I mean, sometimes we want to put our own character, but basically in a pose that somebody else has already drawn, or in a style that they've already put out, because we just want to put ourselves in that thing we love. But we know deep down that obviously if we was to try and publish that, eventually someone's going to go like, hey, hang on a minute, that's basically virtually a carbon copy of this. But we're all influenced in certain ways. But regardless, I don't really think that's the point of what I was trying to get at. I think what I'm trying to say is that it's easy to be overwhelmed by all this awesome, rad, good shit that's out there, kind of thing, whatever it might be. And sometimes I feel that can be a bit crippling, and I think we have to sort of say, like, well, we can look at this two ways. We can basically be inspired by it and just sort of get on and do our thing, kind of thing, and not worry about it too much. But also, if you're somebody like myself that kind of puts content out there that yourself, kind of thing, you don't have to be like the perfect finished article. You don't have to be creating 100% completed works to show the world, kind of thing. I know that not everything I draw is great. And I know that when I go skating, I have days that, like, I'm literally on fire. Like, I am really, I'm getting tricks down, I'm learning stuff, I'm progressing, in that session. And there'll be other days where I go there where it's just literally like banging my head against the floor, quite literally sometimes. And, you feel like, well, am I progressing? Am I not? Not every day is going to be a day of progression or completion or, like pushing ourselves on. Sometimes we just have to do our thing with no expectation and just do it because we love it. You've got to love this shit to sustain it in life. And I think if you can love what you do, you won't get overwhelmed by what you see on the internet, because you'll be just like, wow, I saw some rad shit today, because I know that that's going to filter into my own creativity, be that drawing, painting, composing music, skating, whatever it might be. The whatever it is that we do to express ourselves is going to come out eventually through that influence. But if we love what we do, then what we do will come from a good place. And sometimes I'll sit down and I'll sketch something and I'll just feel, it's like I feel like I'm trying to push through a brick wall, kind of thing. It's just not there on that particular day. And we shouldn't worry about having to appear like the finished article on the internet. We shouldn't have to worry about, like, oh, if I'm going to show myself skating, I've got to show me doing this as clean or as high or whatever as it can be, because, like, this isn't a competition. This really is not a competition. And I feel that, unfortunately, the internet, the metrics through which, success or gratitude is expressed is through the form of likes and views and hits and all this kind of stuff. And gradually over time it becomes a very competitive thing. Even if we don't see it as a competitive thing, there is that kind of metric to it. And I think sometimes, we can be prone to internalizing that. And, and I feel that we should be a lot more playful about what we do. We should allow ourselves to basically be a bit shit some days, and be happy to be a bit shit some days, because we're human, we should be kind to ourselves and just accept that some days we're going to put ourselves out there and we're not going to be firing on all cylinders. We're not going to be 10 out of 10. Sometimes we put something out because there's the germ of something that is like, yeah, I can see something there that's, it's a bit raw, it's a bit gritty. It's not perfect, it's not the best, but, yeah, I can see it. And and that filters through. And I think we should allow ourselves that childlike playfulness with things. And I think that's one of the things that I really like about working in schools sometimes, because I get to see, like, the kids' drawings and their artwork and all these little bits. And I look at it and I just feel like, wow, there is something so raw in that. I mean, like, yeah, you're not going to see that artwork published in Shonen Sunday or whatever it might be. But you look at it and you feel like, yeah, there is some sort of raw creative spirit in that you feel like, that's what I want to capture in my artwork when I draw. I don't want it to look like this clean, perfect Bezier curve kind of, shit. Sometimes I want it to have that raw energy. And I think that's what I really clue into quite often with a lot of skate graphics on decks and on, clothing and stuff, is that you can see almost like a raw, childlike energy and stuff, where it's just like, yeah, objectively, depending on what those metrics are, you'd say that, yeah, it looks a bit shit, really. But there's an energy to it that you just think, but that makes it awesome, kind of thing. That's what makes it work. So I think we should love what we do, be kind to ourselves, be willing to be a little bit shit, because actually that's where we find ourselves sometimes at our most creative. And then, we'll take those threads and then we'll put it into something which is a little bit more, I use this term loosely, perfectly formed kind of thing, because we allowed ourselves to make mistakes and try things and all the rest of it. And, and I think, we should be more willing to be a bit more human in how we express ourselves. If we're going to use social media, and we're going to put our artwork out there, if we're going to put our skating out there, if we're going to put our, live performance out there, whatever it is, I think we should allow ourselves to show our kind of fuck-ups, I think that's kind of what I like about skate videos sometimes, that you see the bails, you see the slams. And I mean, on the one hand, I hate it because it literally just makes me twinge. I mean, like literally physically twinge. Like, geez, that must have hurt. But I love the fact that it shows the human side of the struggle kind of thing. And, I think we need more of that. I think, we will be at our best when we show that raw energy and that unfinished angle of ourselves, because that's when we start to see new creative energy. This idea that we're trying to represent ourselves in this perfectly formed way stifles creativity. And that's why sometimes it can all seem a bit samey. Like I see a lot of artwork online where I'm just like, that is the shit. But I don't feel myself like, whoa, kind of thing, like, I find myself going like, yeah, it's a good one of that, but there's lots of that kind of thing. It's the same with skating. Like when I watch a skate video, there are some parts where I'm just like, oh my God, this is the shit, kind of thing. And there are others where I'm just like, yeah, this is really good, but it's like almost too technically perfect. And what I want to see is just a little bit more rawness, a little bit more grit sometimes in my skate parts. That's what I like. And I think that just, amplifies up into everything that, sometimes we've just got to go off on a tangent with things and allow that raw grittiness to come out in what we do. Just have fun with it, be prepared to show our cock-ups and our mess-ups and our bails and our slams and all this kind of stuff, and where we go off on a tangent and it doesn't quite work, but there's a germ of something that, will allow ourselves to show a raw creativity that exists in our imaginations if we allow it, don't try and be the perfect finished article on the internet. It's just, or in life. I mean, I see them as one and the same. I mean, there's that old saying, IRL, isn't it? In real life. And you never hear people talking about that anymore, because life on the internet and life offline, shall we say, has kind of become one and the same now. But we should be a bit more human, a bit more raw, a little bit more willing to show ourselves when we're not necessarily doing our best work and all the rest of it. But when we do that, good stuff happens, That's what I want to see. Raw creative energy that is actually creating the future. That's what I love, And yeah, I like old shit, like I like my Game Boy, I like my Super Famicom, and I still play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on my PlayStation. But that doesn't mean that I'm not a forward-looking person. I am a forward-looking person. That's why I feel that let's stop trying to make ourselves look like the big shot on the internet. Let's show our human side, and that's how we'll progress ourselves. That's how we'll come up with new ideas. Life is too short. You'll take yourself so seriously, and then you'll be 40 like me, or older, and you'll think like, shit, I've possibly already lived half of my life, and sometimes I just need to be a bit more human, show my love for things. And I think that's the thing that to finish off on, that I really love about skating, is that it humbles me all the time. Anytime I get a bit cocky with it, and I'm like, yeah, I got this dialed in, that's when I find myself on the floor. That's when I find myself literally with my ass hanging up in the air kind of thing as I roll over. I'm just like, no, I don't. This shit humbles me all of the time. The minute that I'm like, yeah, I got this, I don't need to try so hard, that's when I find myself on the ground eating shit. And I think that's a good thing sometimes, is to have that humbleness in life, to yeah, just be human, you know. Yeah, none of us have got it figured out. Not really. Yeah, just be playful with things. Love it. Have fun. Yeah. That's what I did with this little sketch here, which I'm going to obviously translate into a proper piece of artwork at some point. But yeah, just go at it. That's it, really. Yeah, all right. I'm done for this one. I hope you're all doing well. And yeah, I'll catch you in another one of these. See you soon. Bye.